Welcome back, beloved family. Thank you so much for passing by to click on this channel. So Ethiopia just opened African biggest dam, which Ethiopia citizens are celebrating, and Africa at large and the lover of good development in Africa. Okay, guys, and now this Grand Ethiopia Dam project officially started construction in April 2011. The site was prepared beginning in late 2010. The foundation stone was laid on 2nd April 2011 by the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. So, beloved family, as I'm talking to you, the dam is being opened. The purpose of this dam is to generate electricity for the citizen of Ethiopia and all the neighboring country of Ethiopia. Okay, but the citizens of Ethiopia are really happy celebrating, but there is a problem. So, beloved family, is actually being noticed that since the beginning of the construction of this dam building, that Egypt has been opposing it. And now, as the dam is now going to be operational, according to the Egypt, the dam building by Ethiopia is direct threat to their national security. So, guys, what is this? So, guys, I will let you guys listen to the full details by our recommender. So, guys, when you listen, please do well to like, share, and subscribe.
They call the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam. The abbreviation of this dam is GERD, G-E-R-D for short. So this is one of the biggest dams in Africa currently. The problem is not because the dam is built in Ethiopia, but it is built on the Nile River, the Blue Nile River. Don't worry, you'll understand. That is it on the map. For us to get a clear picture, we need to understand how the river Nile itself works and how it flows and how the Blue Nile, which is coming from Ethiopia, is impacting this river Nile. Okay, there's a Blue Nile from Ethiopia impacting it. What role is the Blue Nile playing? And why building a dam on the Blue Nile becoming a problem to Egypt? On the map, the river Nile itself moved from Burundi, Rwanda, Lake Victoria, from there to Uganda, South Sudan, Sudan, and then entered Egypt. From Egypt, it entered a reservoir there, and from that reservoir, it spread to the Mediterranean Sea. That is just simply how the river Nile itself is operating. Now, the source of the river Nile is debatable, okay, where it comes from. When you go to Burundi, for example, they will tell you it start from here, They don't know exactly where it comes from. Some people believe that it starts directly from Rwanda. So there's a whole lot of things surrounding the source of the river Nile. So it is debatable, but practically, everybody know that it starts from Burundi. Look at it this way. From Burundi, Rwanda, that is the circulation of the river Nile. Why it's affecting them, you will understand. From Burundi, Rwanda, in Lake Victoria, before continuing the journey. Now, the Lake Victoria is bordered by 3 countries, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. So when you check the map, you see that Uganda take some big portion of the Lake Victoria. Tanzania take, I think, bigger portion of the Lake Victoria, and Kenya is having a little portion of the Lake Victoria. So these 3 countries, you know, their borders, around their borders, the Lake Victoria connect them together over there. So the river now move from Burundi, Rwanda, and enter the Lake Victoria. So from Lake Victoria, it pushed through to Uganda, and then it moved from Uganda to South Sudan, and from South Sudan to Sudan. Now, when it is going to Sudan, from Sudan it's going to Egypt, okay? Now, before it gets to Egypt, there is another river from Ethiopia. This river coming from Ethiopia is called Lake Tana, and that is the Blue Nile. The water that moves from the Lake Tana from Ethiopia, the land of Ethiopia, this water always connects to the river moving from Burundi, Rwanda, and then into Lake Victoria. From there going, when it gets to Sudan, the Lake Tana release water. There is water flowing from the Lake Tana from Ethiopia, and it connects to the river Nile in Sudan. And the meeting point of these 2 rivers is called Khartoum. So you see it on the map, it's displayed over there. The river Nile itself from Burundi all the way through the Lake Victoria and it's going to Egypt, but this river always meets it in Sudan. And the meeting point in Sudan is Khartoum. From there, the speed become more and it go to Egypt. In Egypt also have reservoir. Okay, there's a reservoir in Egypt. They created a reservoir so that when it come there, it pour in the reservoir first before moving and spreading across. Because from Egypt, it go into the Mediterranean Sea. That's it on the map over there, as you can see. What you need to understand is that when you stop the flow or you slow the flow of the Blue Nile coming from Ethiopia, it is going to affect the speed and the water quantity moving to Egypt. Because 1 + 1 is equal to 2. So from the river Nile itself, going from Burundi, going past through. When you get to Sudan, once this water from Ethiopia meet it, it become more pressure come in more water together. So it flow to Egypt. So Egyptians have more water. And I will tell you how this water is so important to Egypt. The role is playing in the life of Egyptians. Why they are worried. That is just practically what it is. In the most simple way, when the river moves from Burundi and is going to the reservoir of Egypt, if it's going to take, let's say, 5 hours to fill the reservoir in Egypt, okay, the moment this water from Lake Tana, which is the Blue Nile, meet it, instead of, let's say, 5 hours for the reservoir to fill up, it's going to take like 2.5 hours, maybe. So the speed is high, more water. That is just practically the science behind it. Now, the problem right now is that the dam built by Ethiopia, although Ethiopia built the dam on their own land, that is a fact, but they built it on the Blue Nile. So Egypt's concern is that, no, building the dam on the Blue Nile means that you are going to slow the process of circulation. We are not going to have much water. It will slow the process of water reaching us because this water is the lifeline of Egypt. So stop the construction. So Ethiopia started building this since 2011, and today it is complete. From that time of the construction, Egypt has been opposing this, that no, we cannot allow this to happen. And the purpose of this particular dam is hydroelectricity. Ethiopia want to generate power, light up the homes in Ethiopia, fuel industry, and even sell electricity to neighboring countries. And Sudan will benefit from it, which is the reason why Sudan is not so much worried, because the electricity, benefit a little bit from it. But I'll also tell you why Sudan is a little bit worried. So according to Ethiopia, they don't see the reason why they will have this resource, which God give them is the natural resources from their land, and they can't use it to the benefit of their people, because you are thinking about your people. They are building the dam and they have completed it, which is one of the biggest news right now, and everybody is happy about it. But Egypt is not happy. The argument of Ethiopia is that many people in their country, they are not having electricity. There's an electricity problem in Ethiopia. So this dam could change a lot of things. A lot of people who are not living with electricity now can live with electricity. So here is the problem with Egypt. The Nile River is Egypt's lifeline. Over 95% of Egypt water come from the Nile. Without the Nile, Egypt's farm will dry up, and people in Egypt will struggle to find water, either to drink, to cook, or to do whatever they have to do with it, because majority of the people depend on this particular water coming in. Say the fear of Egypt is that when Ethiopia fill the dam that they build right now, a huge amount of water will be held back and less will flow down into Sudan and then into Egypt. So the water coming from there is going to take, let's say, as I used the first example, 5 hours to fill the artificial reservoir of Egypt. Now that this dam is in, Ethiopia will love to fill it dam first. So in that process, it's going to delay the circulation of water into Egypt. So it's going to take, like, let's say 10 hours. Maybe, I'm just saying it. But the time will expand, or the time will extend forward, whichever the English will put it. So Egypt is afraid of slow circulation, which is going to mean that they are going to be struggling with water, because these two water coming together is helping their country. And Ethiopia is saying that, look, the water is coming from us. Assuming this water is not coming from us, you depend only on the river Nile coming from Burundi, Rwanda, South Sudan into Sudan. Because when they move from Burundi, Rwanda, enter the Lake Victoria, that is where it flow from there to Uganda and then get through South Sudan to Sudan and then get to you. So assuming the one coming from the Lake Tana, which is the Blue Nile, is not meeting it, you depend on that. So we are not stopping it. We are only trying to make use of it. We are going to make sure that it doesn't disturb the flow. After filling the dam, the water is flowing. But to Egypt, this could mean less water for farming in Egypt, less drinking water for millions of Egyptians. I said it, that 95% of the people in Egypt depend on this water. Less electricity from Egypt's own Aswan High Dam. This Aswan High Dam is what I'm calling the reservoir of Egypt. You understand? This dam is what I'm calling the reservoir. When you move from Burundi, Rwanda, and then move to the Lake Victoria, let's say, is just a natural order. Okay, now from there, through Uganda to South Sudan to Sudan, and then meet the Blue Nile, and then go into Egypt. But because before it crosses Egypt, it has to enter their dam for electricity production. And the name of the dam is Aswan High Dam. So from there, before it moved across to the villages in Egypt and all the way, and then entered into the Mediterranean Sea. So basically, Egypt sees this as a national security threat. You understand how this whole thing is working? So Ethiopia, on the other hand, is saying that we are not trying to steal water. We also want electricity, as you also have your dam and it flow in there and you have your electricity. But from Egypt, it's not disrupting anybody out there. So Egypt is the last man standing where the water get to. The water is going to get from people before getting to Egypt as the last person before getting into the Mediterranean Sea. So you are using it to generate electricity. But the source is coming from us also. Why can't we also use it for electricity? So the dam, according to the government of Ethiopia, it won't permanently block any water flow. After filling, water will keep flowing downstream. And this is a development project for millions of Ethiopians. So you can't tell us to stop it. So for Ethiopia, this is about their sovereignty and progress. And there's something also in the middle. Ethiopia had the feeling that it is unfair that for decades, Egypt control most of the Nile's water under the colonial or the old colonial treaty. They signed an old colonial treaty which gives give the power to Egypt to control the water. But now Ethiopia is no longer interested in that. They say that is unfair. Now let's not forget Sudan. Sudan, the country right between them, could benefit from cheap electricity from Ethiopia. That is first advantage. But Sudan also is afraid of, sudden fear. Those of you in Ghana, you understand. When the dam recently they do the spillage and then flood happened in the Volta region. Sudan is afraid of that though. But electricity production, okay, they are going to get cheap electricity because the dam is just close to them. Additionally, Sudan is afraid of drought if the dam is not well managed. So Sudan right now is caught in the middle of Ethiopia and Egypt. They are not saying anything much, but that is just their worry. But Ethiopia assured them that it will not affect them, as they are assuring Egypt that it will not affect them. So in regards to this particular problem, negotiations have been happening for years. Egypt wants something. What Egypt wants is that Egypt wants a legally binding agreement to guarantee enough water flow. And Ethiopia is resisting this attempt. According to Ethiopia, they don't want any outsider controlling their dam. So this practically has led to tension between the two nations, to the extent that it has even gotten to a threat of war. The Egyptians are saying...
So, beloved family, you've heard that right. This has been a threat to war. They are threatening each other for war. So, guys, right from the foundation, when they started, Egypt has opposed this dam. Egypt actually was not actually happy. But finally, after so many years, Ethiopia has completed the dam. So what did you think at this moment? For me, this is for Ethiopia, it is for survival. But for Egypt, it's all about power and control. So I want to leave this with you guys as you come across this update. Did you think that the Egypt and Ethiopia would be willing to go to war? Because you should understand, this is African country, despite anything that should happen, because, okay, African countries shouldn't fight themselves. This is what they will sit on the round table to settle themselves. So guys, I will leave this. Did you think that Egypt and Ethiopia would be willing to go to war? Do well to drop your own opinion and do well to encourage me to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.